Anonymous question says here, define love according to the Bible. Is it a feeling, an act, a choice? This is very important to me because it will inform how I view if I was loving or not in situations. Okay, I hear you. Take what I say here with a grain of salt because you're asking a general question about specific situations. I don't know about those situations, so even though I'll give you an answer, I might have applied it a little different than you would when you hear it because there's something I didn't know about in that situation. Love, according to the Bible, is there's a difference between how we define love and how that relates to the word choice. So defining love in Scripture is, I guess I could go to 1 Corinthians 13, right? When we could look, well, let's just look at it together. And for those who are like, oh gosh, this passage again, something's wrong with your brain. Listen to the description of love. Love is patient. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not jealous. It does not brag. It is not arrogant. It does not act unbecomingly. It does not seek its own. It is not provoked. It does not take into account a wrong suffered. It does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. Right? It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Now, what you'll notice here is that this is not a definition of love. It's a description of love. There's a difference between defining and describing things, and as I understand it, this is a description of love. It's what love looks like when it's being acted out. So what is love? Well, love is when you're patient, and it's when you're kind, right? It's when you're not jealous. That is an act of love. It's when you tie these things together. Ultimately, love is caring about others. That's ultimately, I think, a simple definition of what love is. Love is a very strong care for others. But the best even description of love, the highest one, is Jesus, right? God so loved the world, he gave his only son. This is love, right? That a man would lay his life down for his friends. And so I think the highest example of love is self-sacrifice for the benefit of others. That's what Jesus did. He suffers pain and difficulty and suffering, just all kinds of horrible things, that others will be blessed, that others will be helped, that others will be lifted up. So love in that sense isn't I want you, it's I care about you. And the way that we sometimes confuse love in our culture is we relate love to desire to have, right? I love hamburgers, but that's not even the kind of love, we're not talking about, that's not patient, kind, right? That's not any of those things. That love is just desire to have. So when I'm a kid and I think I love this girl, right? How many girls did I think I was like, oh, I have a crush. Is this love? Is it love? All I was really thinking is how much I wanted them as a girlfriend or for whatever purposes. That's what I was thinking in my head, how much I wanted them. But that's not what love is. Love isn't just how much I desire you. Love is how much I care about you. And this is why love, as opposed to just desire, can demonstrate patience, kindness, self-sacrifice. This is why some people who you say you love, you're the least patient, the least self-sacrificing, and the most jealous of in bad ways. It's the most selfish and self-seeking, because that wasn't love. That was just desire you confused with love. So I think that the biblical idea is love is concern for others, giving of self to benefit and bless and help others. An example of this, when I got married, I remember getting a present for my wife or doing something for my wife, and I did it for her, and I thought she would really like it, and she just didn't care. And this was not because anything was wrong with her, lest you think that was the problem. It was because I just misunderstood what she would want, right? Like what would bless her, what would make her happy, right? Oh, I did this thing, and she's like, oh, good, and she walks away. And then I remember getting frustrated. You didn't like what I did. What I was being confronted with was the conflict between my desire to have her respond positively to me versus my desire to actually just bless her. And when I realized, oh, if it doesn't bless her, then why am I upset at her? Right? It was just a silly little thing. So I don't know if that kind of helps a little bit. When you ask if define love according to the Bible, the definition of love, I think, is caring for others. The description of love is these things we read in 1 Corinthians 13 and demonstrated by Jesus on the cross. But then you say, is love a choice? And there I say, yes, love is a choice. Because caring for others doesn't always mean having intense emotional feelings towards others, right? Love has feelings associated with it frequently, but those feelings aren't itself love. Love is the actual care, not the emotional stuff that often flows from that care, but doesn't always. Because you can love somebody when you don't have that sense of care, that feeling of emotional love, in a sense. So that's why love is absolutely a choice. Love is absolutely entirely a choice. I mean, someone frustrates you and you're upset with them and you decide, I'm just going to be kind and gracious to them. That was love. That was love.